Hello from Roberto Quaglia. A few months ago, just before summer, PandoraTV focused on cryptocurrencies. That program has had some success. We still receive messages from people that was introduced to the magical world of cryptocurrencies by that speech. Now, after summer is gone, Bitcoin is priced twice as much, even if China, nowadays the biggest Bitcoin producer and user, has issued new laws limiting its usage. And it seems that also South Korea wants to follow that trial. A few days ago, one of JP Morgan's bosses blurted out that Bitcoin is a scam. The foreseeable result has been the momentary crash of its price. But a few days later, surprise, surprise, we found out that JP Morgan has gone shopping big time in Bitcoin. That's why I would like to come back on this topic, just to fulfill one aspect that I barely mentioned, but has later become a main issue. A lot of people think that the main reason to invest in cryptocurrency is to speculate on its growing rate. This is by no means an incorrect assumption, applicable also to countless other cryptocurrencies born on the wake of Bitcoin. In fact, the main problem with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is that they are traded as a speculative asset instead of a fungible asset made for trading goods and services. Since the ratings of these cryptocurrencies is, for the time being, to grow with time, the owners tend to accumulate the assets instead of using it for its main purpose. We still remember the story of the guy that in 2010 spent 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas. That at the time would seem a good deal, since nobody accepted that currency. Nowadays, that same bitcoins are worth more than $40 million. Evidently, we are still in the pioneer era of cryptocurrencies. That, until they will reach a stable rating, will have problems to be used in large-scale trading of tangible goods and services. That's why, as I already said in the previous installment on this topic, Bancor is bound to have a major role. Bancor is a new protocol that aims to be a decentralized world bank of community currencies, connecting all the cryptocurrencies in a way providing seamless liquidity among the various assets. This could help the entire sector to mature and to become real and a trusted financial ecosystem. But the side I would like to further investigate today is another. If most of cryptocurrencies presently have a minor, if not negligible, role in everyday trading in the real world, there is in Cryptolandia a new category of products that has, exactly in that role, a strong and foresighted impact. Those are the tokens placed on the market with an ICO, initial coin delivery. Let's make the terms straight. A token in the crypto world is not just a sort of currency, but also a stake. After all, every currency is also that. The value of a certain currency expresses also the perceived value of the country issuing it. A typical scenario is that of a company that issues tokens that allow to participate in its revenues. Those who are willing to invest in that company buy them. But the usage of token is, in effect, unbound, limited only by human imagination. So every project uses the tokens in its own way. So, during an ICO, acronym that resembles the IPO of traditional financial markets, a project raises its capital by selling its token to investors. So the ICO is the latest new revolution. By financing a new project, the ICO allows, not always but often, the integration of cryptocurrencies with the traditional real infrastructures. And that's no mean feat. The new power of tokens stems from the mention of the so-called smart contracts, a programming language for conditional payment and many other functions integrated on the blockchain. The blockchain, let's remember that, is a decentralized database shared by all participants that collect a crypted and unmodified trace of all the transactions performed on that network. If at first this does not seem to make any sense to you, it will once you got the knack of it. The market of ICO is for the moment almost completely unregulated, so that investors have to approach it with extreme care. Investors can only rely on their own judgment skills to distinguish one great innovative project from a simple scam. Do you remember the Far West? I personally like it, but not everybody has the spirit and the stomach of the pioneers. It's a tough environment, not for the weak-handed. So, as a disclaimer, please acknowledge that here I'm not willing to give any financial advice to anyone, but I will tell you about several projects which either have recently launched or are right now launching an ICO. These are projects which can help us understand the potentialities of this new world. As an example, I've chosen 10 projects, all very different, one from another, so as to offer a panoramic as wide as possible. And please keep in mind, the new projects are launched every day. Many, hundreds. It's a huge world in a very, very fast movement. We'll start with Hydrominer, which is a project very easy to understand. Anyone could have done it, provided they had the right idea. But unfortunately, this idea didn't come to us, for sure not to me. This idea, in fact, came to two German young women who in 2014, so we're talking about only 3 years ago, have started, as many do, to buy a lot of computer video cards, which they would then assemble in rigs for the purpose of mining a lot of cryptocurrencies. Differently from others, however, these two young women found a way to grow their business by renting hydropower station in Austria, in Alpine region of Europe, which has provided them with plenty of convenient and green energy for their mining rigs. Hydropower is one of the most effective and lowest cost renewable energy resources. Close to these stations, they have placed sea freight containers filled up with over 1,000 GPUs, and they have even managed to use the river's water to, guess what, to cool their structure. This all has worked very well, and so what these two women decide to do? They have now launched an ICO to raise the money necessary to expand this working model. The contributors of this ICO will so get a share of the business, proportionally to their contribution. A few days ago, the pre-sale of these tokens took place, and it sold out in a mere 36 minutes, in which the equivalent in Ether of almost €500,000 has been raised. The main sale is going to start very soon, and it will last for 1 month. As a second example, we have chosen Flexo. Do you know Netflix or YouTube? Well, Flexo aims to provide a similar service, streaming of video content, but in a totally decentralized way. This way, skipping the high infrastructural cost of bandwidth and storage, which are typical of centralized services like Netflix or YouTube. On Flexo, all users share any content they have on their device with the rest of the community, and the information is distributed and shared through the network using BitTorrent protocol. For sharing videos, users are awarded Flix tokens, which are necessary for watching new videos, and smart contracts will deal with copyright issues. So if one side you'll need Flix token to watch content, on the other side you'll earn Flix token by sharing your own videos. If you have no videos to share, you can still earn Flix tokens by watching ads, or you can buy Flix tokens on the market. Flexo is born from the experience of the creator of Popcorn Time, a platform of video distribution of over 100 million users. Flexo ICO will start on October 13. One third example that we will present is global job coin. Here too we have a project with a solid base and a history in the real world. It all goes back to Jobs Today, one of the leading job platforms in Switzerland, Germany, Austria and Poland, with over 1 million registered users, 2 million of people seeking jobs every month and 5,000 registered companies. I'm just mentioning that to show how the phenomenon of ICOs is probably marking the beginning of a trend of most of the forms of organization of our society moving towards the blockchain, through a process of tokenization of functions and values. These are all new terms which today sound as they were science fiction, but which instead mark the beginning of a new paradigm in commercial relation. A new world which is right now forming, despite the fact that the mainstream is barely reporting about it. And when it does, it often would banalize it, if not just cover it with the usual insults. Global Jobcoin will use the collected funds to expand its own presence in many other nations all over the world. Global Jobcoin will become the essential choice of payment of all their platforms around the world, aiming at becoming the standard community currency for the entire global online staffing sector. For example, clients will be able to hire freelancers on the Job Day platform and secure their transactions using smart contracts. For the fourth example, in our panoramic, we have chosen a project of a great complexity and great ambition, Ambrosus. Based in Switzerland and with a wide cosmopolitan team with truly mind-boggling CVs, Ambrosus aims to radically improve the global supply chain of life essentials products like food and medicine. Providing a more secure and autonomous supply chain, consumers are allowed to easily see where the products come from and what is really in them. This is achieved by using cutting-edge technologies from nanosensors to supercomputers, and all devices interoperate with no central node. Everything will be interfaced with commercial agreements encoded as smart contracts. Once the quality and safety data is generated by sensors, the smart contracts will self-execute and any disputes will be resolved automatically, with immediate financial settlement. It sounds like utopia becoming a reality. Ambrosus aims to provide complete transparency and tracing to every single element in the supply chain. Some of these nice words you may have heard many times in the past: transparency, quality control. But so many times they were just fine words. And behind those words, we would eventually discover frauds and lies, many of which would turn out to be serious hazards for our health. Well, this is exactly the problem that Ambrosus is aiming to solve by creating a trusted ecosystem where we can reliably record the entire history of products. In other words, they plan to make the best possible use in the upcoming Internet of Things era, where every object will have its IP number that can be traced. And the link connecting this new ecosystem, built by Ambrosus, is the token Amber. Amber is a data-bounded token, and it continuously binds data within the supply chain, and also it carries out transfers of value within the ecosystem. Ambrosus is now selling the Amber tokens in an ICO and has so far raised over $30 million. The fifth project we will be speaking today is not less ambitious, even though in a completely different field. We're talking about Ethland. The ETHLend project aims at creating a global market of decentralized lending. We all know how it is to ask for a loan. Either you go to a bank or you go to an usurer, depending on how the lending market in your area is. The ETHLend project wants to offer an alternative to all this. ETHLend wants to create a global market of lending which is completely decentralized, where anyone can decide to lend what they want to anyone, inside an automatic platform ruled by smart contracts on the Ethereum platform. As in the centralized world, also collaterals and reputation play a fundamental role in this new ecosystem. On ETHLend, collaterals and reputation get tokenized, and then they can grow, diminish, move, or even get destroyed. For our sixth example, we have chosen a project which consists in a tech-driven investment fund, backed by cutting-edge machine learning algorithms, crowdsourcing asset sentiment via the Ethereum blockchain. Now, you should know that these days there are plenty of projects in cryptoland aimed at improving investments, and many of them are really well made, and their ICOs have success and they raise a lot of money. Therefore, this sector is definitely worth being mentioned now. As an example of this category, we have chosen Sharp Capital, because of a very original and intriguing feature it has, and which the other projects don't have. If on one side Sharp Capital will sell to the public its tokens, which will provide buyers with a share of the revenues, on the other side it will buy from the public correct asset sentiment. Yes, the most interesting aspect of this is that even though users can earn money for the correct asset predictions, they won't lose money if their predictions will turn to be wrong. Of course, their reputation would change. And all of this is recorded on the blockchain. So anyone interested is welcome to read their very extensive white paper. It's a book. It's over 60 pages of detailed explanations where the whole mechanisms of Sharp Capital are very well explained. Let's go for the seventh example. And for the seventh example, we have chosen Auctus, a project which frankly is even more than ambitious. Auctus aims at creating blockchain-based pension funds ruled through smart contracts, which would dramatically improve the pension market by increasing transparency and eliminating common problems such as corruption, fraud, bribery, and of course bureaucracy. This challenge is really a titanic one. But if you think at it, it is really extraordinary. In fact, all over the world, there are basically no entities right now that you can really trust and which you can be sure that they would manage your money properly and honestly, so that one day you will get all your deserved pension for sure. In Italy, for example, my country, your pension contribution disappears into a black hole in the very moment you pay it. You pay it and your money is not there anymore. So that nobody can really be sure if and when they will ever receive a pension. And with the private pension funds, it is sufficient that your private pension fund goes bankrupt for any reason. And there you see all your retirement money gone forever in a blink of an eye. On the other side, I can very well imagine a mechanism which allows to manage pension payments on the blockchain deterministically, and then one day to pay the due pensions in an unstoppable way, powered by the force and determinism of smart contracts. I guess some more time is needed before something like that can become really the standard. But for sure, Auctus plans to be an early player in this game. And Auctus ICO is running exactly in these days. As the eighth example number 8, I will mention Decentraland's project. That's a 3D virtual world of the kind of Second Life, but it is decentralized and it doesn't belong to a private company, but it belongs to those who own the appropriate tokens. Also, Decentraland's ownership is thus decentralized. You can buy land in Decentraland with tokens that have already been distributed with an ICO some weeks ago, and which from now on you can grab only in online exchanges. The process of terraforming will happen in December, and then we will see how that 3D world will evolve. Being there no central authority in Decentraland, it will be interesting to observe what will happen in this virtual space if someone would one day build something which would be really politically non-correct. What will happen? I'm very curious. For the ninth example, we've chosen a lottery. Yes, now there are also blockchain-based lotteries. Which is the difference with the millions of games of chance which already exist in the world? Well, every project has its own features. And as an example of this sort of projects, we have chosen the Smart Billions lottery. Because among all lotteries we have given a look at, Smart Billions is the most transparent and decentralized one. And it devolves the highest stake of the money it raises to the jackpot. Smart Billions is built on the Ethereum platform. And it is managed by smart, I would even add very smart contracts. Tokens are sold in an ICO to crowdfund the initial jackpot, which aims to be, guess what, the highest jackpot ever been for any online lottery. And contributors will thus become sort of stakeholders of Smart Billions. And each of them will get their shares of the lottery revenues, of course. Therefore, Smart Billions is a lottery which is decentralized both in its mechanism and its in ownership. The whole mechanism of betting and winning is completely automatic and trustless, managed by open source smart contracts which anyone can check. Actually, Smart Billions is running this day a hackathon where they have locked $500,000 or so in their lottery's smart contract, and is challenging hackers to try to hack it and get the money. That will be the ultimate proof that their system is in fact bulletproof. You may like or not games of chance, but if you decide to go this way, then the game should be the fairest as possible, and Smart Billions, with its decentralization, deterministic mechanism, and low stakes for the house, certainly is now setting a new industry standards of fairness that may change this industry forever. Smart Billions ICO is going live in the middle of October, and the lottery will start to function immediately afterwards. And if we don't want to leave any major vice out, as the 10th and last example, we can't avoid to report that the business of adult entertainment is moving its first step on the blockchain as well. And for sure, they won't be the last ones. In this field, we have seen recently some scammy ICOs, which however have been immediately exposed by the crypto lovers community. Luckily, there is a lot of tension in the crypto world to guard the field against the scammers and cheaters that try to intrude themselves all the time. The project we have chosen as an example is Live Stars, which is going to be a platform of video chat. Of course, the world is already full of erotic video chat, but in all of them, usually the one who gets the biggest slice of the pie is the manager of the platform. But in Live Stars, again, here we say the decentralization of the structure is able to deliver a higher fairness. Everything will be managed by smart contracts, so removing the need of third parts in the interaction between performers and spectators, which ensures a higher privacy for the users and obviously also big advantages like higher commissions for the performers. Live Stars 2 is running an ICO right now. All these projects are starting right now. We've made now 10 examples, but there would be so many more to do. Just for mentioning a few, the Elastic project and the Sun project, both of which are aiming at the creation of the first decentralized supercomputer, something which before could only be imagined in science fiction novels. But today we have chosen to just give a panoramic of the emerging economy driven by the existence of a cryptocurrencies ecosystem. So, from this panoramic, we could see today how an entire new field of real-world activities connected to cryptocurrencies, to the blockchain technology, and to smart contracts are evolving and thriving. Through their decentralized architecture, which typically is transparent and deterministic, these activities can offer more efficiently services which has been already existing in a more efficient way, as well as services which were not possible before. It is important that we acknowledge that all this could not have happened if an entire world of different cryptocurrencies would have not evolved in the past years. A world that the mainstream world would always label as a mere curiosity, if not a bubble or even not a scam. It is true that those cryptocurrencies are still mainly used as speculative assets instead of the monetary units they pretend to be. But as a side effect, they have created the conditions, the environment, the humus, the economy able today to fund these and other projects which most likely are going to have a useful impact in the real world. And this is particularly significant that this true boom of project of decentralized technology and economy is happening right when the centralized world is drowning more and more in an endless crisis. But after all, if you really think at it, the essence of democracy relies in decentralization. That's the decentralization of power. While the core of totalitarianism clearly has its essence in centralization. And so, while today the political and economical world is showing signs of a gravitational collapse towards a black hole of self-destructive centralization, we are witnessing at the same time to this fresh blossoming of a world which is decentralized and full of ideas, projects and activities, all of them with decentralization at its core. And guess what? This little world with a decentralized soul is perfectly able to escape the nihilistic pressure of the centralized system. This little world would in fact barely notice that and happily thrive, careless of the surrounding chaos and destruction. Until now, it's just a little world, but not that little if we think that by now every day one or more new ICOs are launched where millions of dollars are raised for so many different real-world projects. It is a little world, but it is growing, and it is growing fast. We don't know how long and how much it will grow, but if you look at it, from whichever side you're looking at it, it most likely seems to be the future. Roberto Quaglia for PandoraTV.it